It's time we give back. Someone see and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
Welcome to this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. I am your host, Hosea James Givan II, and we are here today celebrating Women's History Month with Melissa Cuevas. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Welcome back to Mercy College.
Yes.
This is our set here in the Bronx, Mercy College campus. You're a graduate of Mercy College.
Absolutely.
You got a couple degrees here, right?
Yes, three to be exact.
3 degrees.
Yes.
Please tell.
Associate, bachelor's, master's.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Really? I didn't know
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is home for you.
Yes, this is. It's home.
So you should feel real comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about you, right? I know you're a mental health specialist. What drives you? What's your passion? What motivates you to get into that?
Well, the youth homelessness is rising. 1 out of 10 students are experiencing homelessness. Knowing the needs of the youth, also being a part of the ACS system for several years as a teenager into adulthood. And also, our youth is the next generation. And so, yeah.
So why don't you share with your, I've watched you work. I've seen you do what you do. And one of the things that really impressed me about you was your love for your community. There's a young man in your community that you've told me about, that you look out for, you care about, somebody that most people would not. And
Absolutely.
That told me a lot about you as a person and the quality of your heart. On a day-to-day basis, what kind of tasks would you say you embark on in the role that you're in as a mental health specialist?
Well, discovering the needs, which is consistent service, passion, and building that trusting relationship with an individual. And so being in this field, I started off as a direct care staff, then transitioned into
What is that? What is it?
Direct care is working with the youth on a day-to-day to give them their needs throughout the day inside of a shelter.
Okay.
And so helping them cook.
So you get right down with them.
Yes, that was how I started. Volunteering, then became a direct care staff.
You started as a volunteer?
First.
Oh, wow.
When I graduated from Mercy, the same agency that I was in as a teenager, I went back. The social worker at the time is now the HR director.
So wait, so the very same agency that you were involved with as a young person, because you were part of the system.
Absolutely.
You went back to that system and said, how can I be supportive? How can I give
back and how can I be supportive?
Wow.
And so...
That's dope.
Yes. And she told me to get my degree first and then come back to her, so I did exactly that. I went back and she said, volunteer at the shelter first and see how you like it. And if you like it, then we'll offer you a job. And so I was a volunteer for 4 months. And they offered me the position. I loved the work. I actually had a city job at the time, working in a hospital, and I quit.
I know the hospital.
Yes.
Because my mother was she trained at Lincoln Hospital.
Yes.
And she was the head nurse of the emergency room in Lincoln Hospital.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I worked in Lincoln for 7 years. And once I started volunteering, after 4 or 5 months, I gave that up. It was a paid decrease, and but I felt like the passion that I had to work with the youth was more important, and so I left and I just started full-time employment at the shelter, and that was it. I just continued to move up. As I learned the needs of the youth, I moved on up from direct care to then a case manager. I was there for 5 years as a case manager and helping them each step of the way. And I continued to learn more and more while attending my master's at Mercy. And I was I then, helping them with the day-to-day work was very rewarding and satisfying. However, I felt that mental health was important, the stigma around mental health, and me helping them as a case manager was only instant gratification. And so I wanted to work with them, so that it could be a long-term effect. So I said, let me get my degree in mental health. And so that's exactly what I did. And to help them with not only day-to-day, but past trauma.
Okay.
And helping them manage their current stressors, and also working with helping them with strategies and coping skills to deal with the day-to-day stressors to accomplish their goals in life. So yes.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. And as I listened to you and as I watched you through the years, it takes a special type of person to make this type of commitment to this type of job or this type of career. I think that part of what we need in this world is more people with compassion and a sense of willing to help those that need the help the most. And you seem to, you've always given me the sense that you're true about that. And that's an amazing thing about you. What are some of the challenging aspects of what you do?
Not receiving enough funding, right? And also working with different stakeholders, and working in some of the agencies, working with, I've noticed that there's different stakeholders that have different requirements. And so I feel like at times you get pulled from different directions. And I think that if there's one entity, one stakeholder that follows my mission to help the youth in our community, I think that I can accomplish the goal that I want to, working with the youth. So limiting the stakeholders, as I see, that's one of the major challenges to make change and to bring change in our community.
Okay, so you're at your retirement age, and you're looking back, and you're saying, wow, what do you want to be able to say you accomplished?
Well, providing housing to multiple youth, which I've accomplished 200 a year thus far in the past 5 years.
That's good.
Amazing. Building my own shelter called Rise Community Services, which exists now, just looking for funding.
Do you do that with someone else?
Yes, I do that with Jason Manitza, who's a licensed mental health counselor. Also Eldon Mitchell, who's an expert in business, building construction maintenance. And then Casey Knight, who's an expert in education and employment opportunities.
That's awesome.
Yes,
That's
yes.
awesome. But you're also an entrepreneur, right? Yes,
I am. Yes. I started as doing artist development with individuals that want to seek a career in the music industry. Management, I did that for 10 years. And then I partnered up with someone to create Underground Artistry. Fame stands for Fashion, Art, and Music. So helping people with the passion for music, art, fashion, and creating a platform for them to showcase their work. And how I did that was hiring someone in the celebrity, maybe C or B list, to bring the audience, the attention to that one specific artist. And so I was, we were successful for the last 5 years doing that. And then, so after that, it became Honeybee Services, which is a multi-service organization, catering. I do consulting, business consulting. I am considered the case management expert, so I would like to go to different organizations and shelters to provide the service, case management service, or teach their case managers how I work and how I've been successful. You know, throughout many audits over the years. I've never received one bad audit, so 100% on everything.
That's awesome.
Yes. So, and then mental health counseling, right?
How can people reach you? How could, if someone wanted to be supportive, help to contribute in some form or fashion, either monetarily or
Yes, I have a GoFundMe, Rise Community Services,
Mm-hmm.
GoFundMe. It's on my IG page at
Mm-hmm.
Lady Pom. Lady, Laydee POM. POM stands for peace of mind. And I have the link there in my bio where you can donate. And it has some details of a donation of as little as $20 and what $20 can do for youth in the shelter system.
That's amazing.
Right.
Melissa, you are an impressive person. I'm so glad you are our first guest for Women's History Month.
Yes.
Keep on
I'm
doing
happy to
what
be
you're
here.
doing. It is so important. And
Yes,
I'm so
thank
proud
you.
of everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
What?
Welcome back to this segment of Ignite, Empower, Transform. Again, we are here celebrating Women's History Month, And as we had a very special person in our first segment, we have another very, very special person, a very dear friend of mine, Judge Nichelle Johnson.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable,
Thank you.
Nichelle Johnson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Givan, Hosea. Yes, sir. Happy to be here this afternoon, sitting
Right.
in the boogie down Bronx.
Yes, that's where you're from,
That's
right?
right. That's where I'm from.
Where'd
Born
you
in
grow up?
Harlem, raised in the South Bronx, 875 Boynton Avenue, Lafayette and Story. I lived on the 17th floor of that building, 17J. I was a walk away from Hunts Point and Southern Boulevard, and would be on that number 6 train like J-Lo when I traveled to get to track meets and everything. But yes, sir, definitely Bronx raised and proud.
And we go back to CW Post.
Absolutely. Yeah, Hosea, yeah, as you know, we were college students. When I got to CW Post, part of Long Island University in Greenville, Long Island, Hosea was there as a graduate student, if I'm not correct. I think he was.
You got it.
And when I tell you the guidance, the friendship from day one, I couldn't have thought of a better person to be there to usher in some freshmen who needed a big brother, who would teach us what life is, show us the love and the respect and the guidance that was so necessary for college students. And so I want to believe that my college years were that much better because of your guidance and love from the time I was a freshman. Directing our activities, there was no, filthy. I mean, Hosea was a straight guy, kept us on the straight and narrow, taught us life lessons to avoid certain pitfalls when you become a freshman in college. And so I thank God that you were there when we got there, because I think my college life was that much better because of you, and I could say that.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. And I watched you pledge your sorority while you were at
Yes,
while you were at
Alpha.
Alpha, AKA.
That's right.
Yeah.
Proud of it. We just recently were in Philadelphia. I did not partake. I'm always so busy with so many different things that I'm involved with, but yeah, I became an AKA back in 1985. I started college in 84, and as a sophomore, I went to pledge. And of course, it wasn't only because Hosea was an Alpha that I became an AKA, but wonderful organization. CW Post had a rich Greek culture, and I want to say a beautiful one. One thing I love about what we call the Divine Nine is that from the inception of the sororities and fraternities, they were service and community people.
Right.
We do things for our community, so it's not just a camaraderie or a sisterhood that's fun. You may see the colors, but really it's founded on giving back to our community. And so, but we do that with a close-knit sisterhood and brotherhood. We have some fun, but community service is at the genesis and the basis of what we do and why we come together. So that was a beautiful thing. I couldn't imagine college without being an AKA. It enriched my life again so much.
And to this day, you're still
To this day.
connected and still involved.
Absolutely. all of the sisters that I pledged with and that I went through college with are still friends to this day, helping to enrich our lives as we became mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers. But those are relationships that have lasted even till now.
So, CW Post,
Yes,
the
sir.
next step was law school, right?
Right. Well, actually, I took a 2-year break. I worked at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That was my first job out of college. I was an analyst there. And then 2 years in, I said, I'm going to go to law school. So I applied to Brooklyn Law School part-time division, and I was accepted. And so I spent the next 4 years working and going to law school at night. So I would take the train from Lower Manhattan and take it into Brooklyn 4 nights out of a 5-day week. The only day we had off were Fridays. So I continued to work at the Fed, but then also went to law school at night. And that took me really 3.5 because I went to law school during the summertime. So I did the part-time program in 3.5 years.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
That's
and
impressive.
worked.
That's impressive. And then you started to, you were practicing law
Yes.
for quite some time.
Yes, sir. I'd say about 26 years. Yeah, I got out of law school, graduated, passed the bar in the first try.
When did you land in Mount Vernon?
Mount Vernon, I took up residence in Mount Vernon in the year 1990, I want to say 96. I graduated law school in 94. I got married in 95, and by 96, I was living in Mount Vernon,
Okay.
New York.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And married to the good brother?
Yes, Arthur Muhammad. Previously Arthur Ryan, but he's Arthur Muhammad now. Yes, sir. And we have 4 daughters.
So we're gonna get back to your story, but you just mentioned your husband, and I know
Yes.
he's one of the leaders for one of the temples for the Nation of Islam
Yes.
in Harlem, and that's the famous one that Minister Malcolm X
Yes.
once led as well.
No question. Yes, sir. So Arthur has been a member of the Nation of Islam since the 80s. I believe 88 or something like that. He joined the nation. And presently he is the acting Eastern Coast Assistant Minister.
Wow.
The minister of the mosque had actually passed away of COVID
I heard
in the
about
year
it.
2000.
I heard about that.
2020, excuse
Yes,
me.
yes.
Yeah, so Arthur was the assistant minister. So at this time, he's currently, taking on the seat of facilitating and running that eastern, region of the Nation of Islam, and doing what I think is a great job, yeah. And so together we have 4 daughters, and I joined the nation in 1997. And we had 2 daughters at that time. And so we're both members of the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And yeah, brother, we,
Okay.
and we're right there in Harlem, but we are looking to expand. There'll be some other, we just started or opened up a Queens location. And so we're trying to walk in the footsteps of Minister Farrakhan, who had 18 mosques and study groups throughout the state of New York.
Is that right?
Yeah, when he was there. We don't know. We not sure if we could do that.
Right.
A special man.
Right.
But we're trying to do some expansion. But Arthur's doing that currently, and
That's
I think
awesome.
doing a decent job.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he
Yeah.
is. I'm sure he is. He also works with Mount Vernon as well.
Yeah,
right?
the school district.
Right.
Arthur's been with the school system for quite some time. We like to call him the Dean of Discipline, but they use him in different roles to do a lot of different things because he comes to the district with a unique characteristic of being able to deal with the community, speak to people, impart something on the youth, and speak to them in a language that not everyone can do.
Right. Right.
So he's
Right.
good at that.
Right.
So.
I was in that same role at not the last job, but the job before that. I was
That's
the
right.
Dean of Discipline out in Hollis, Queens.
Okay.
At the very school that I first attended.
That's right.
PS
Isn't that
118.
beautiful?
It is. It is. And it's so needed. It's good to see. I know your husband, strong brothers in those roles. It's important for young people to see those types of examples.
Absolutely. And
So-
even though he was the Dean of Discipline, they love him so much.
Oh,
but they knew
course.
if Brother Muhammad caught them, and you need that. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go back
Proud
to
of
you.
him.
Let's get back to you.
Yes, sir.
So, The Honorable
Yes, sir.
Nichelle Johnson. I helped you campaign to get your
Absolutely.
to get to your position.
That's
which I'm
right.
so proud of you. Let's talk about that role and what you do.
Yes, sir. Well, I've been in the Mount Vernon City Court for almost 7 years now. It's been a while.
Wow.
And I was appointed initially by the mayor, Richard Thomas, and then I had to run for an election. So I had to run and get elected to get in. And there is a difference between appointments and elections. But that's not the topic. But yes, I was elected. And I've been serving in the city court in different, we all will do civil and criminal cases. So some of the other courts, when you go up county and stuff, they focus in on one area. City court, we do criminal cases and civil.
Okay.
So we rotate through those different courts. The civil division, of course, does landlord-tenant, any kind of small claims matters. We'll do traffic, moving violation tickets. People could come in and grieve tickets, and so that civil division is quite extensive. And then, of course, criminal is criminal. I've been doing that for some time. I also have responsibility for some of the specialty courts. So we have a drug court where we have a court that's focused on people that have dependency issues with drugs. And I'm over that court presently. Beautiful court, because what happens is we work with those court participants in a separate courtroom. They get called, their cases are in a separate court. We have meetings with them. We go through we have to put them in facilities sometimes if they need extended care. Sometimes they need long-term care because of their dependency issues, sometimes short-term. There are times when I have to discipline them and give sanctions because they either we test them frequently. Every week they get tested for any kind of substance abuse. And it's a very intense program. It's near and dear to my heart because my father, who was a drug addict in his life, when he was coming, there were no drug courts. If they successfully get through, their charges get dismissed. But not only that, you've helped somebody kick a habit and learn something, which is so much even more than the charge.
Right.
When my father was coming up, you didn't have that.
Right.
And so, in particular, I love being over this court. But at times, I could be a little weak, meaning, sometimes they need tough love.
Right.
And you have to be strong on them.
Right.
But sometimes that empathy that I have, knowing what my father went through, but there are other coordinators that help out. So they run in and say, listen, no, Judge, we got to put him in jail for a couple of weeks.
Right.
I'm like, can't we just make him write an essay? It's like, no, he's going in for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Right.
So, but beautiful court. And then we also have something called the Emerging Adult Justice Part. Now, that is a wonderful court. While I'm not officiating over it, I help put it together and certainly pitch it when the judge who's not, if he's over it, he's not there, I'll step in. But I help coordinate it. And this is a court that deals with young adults from the ages of 18 to 25. Because what happens is we saw that they always pay attention to 17 and under.
Right.
But there were studies that show that between the ages of 18 and 25, they're still very immature.
Oh, absolutely.
And that their brain is not fully formed and they could still make decisions that are not on point.
Right.
So we have a court just to deal with the 18 to 25-year-olds.
Nice.
And the beauty of that court is we focus in on training them. We ask them what they're interested in. If somebody's like, listen, I like, electrical work, we train them electrician. We had somebody coming in with what are those? The drones. We teach them HVAC if they want it. So it's not just, okay, here's a drug program and here's a GED. We actually find out what they are interested in and try to get the training. And with our community resources, all of the different agencies that do this work, we have to give them a wonderful thanks for what they do through our youth shelter of Mount Vernon, which is run by Joanne Dunn, a sister who's doing a wonderful job. And I submit to you, brother, you got to look her up, Joanne Dunn in the youth shelter. They're doing a wonderful job with our program. They are our facilitators, so they are actually dealing with the crowd. When the court appearance is over, they go to the youth shelter for all their services and things that they need. Wonderful program.
Right. So I call you Nisi, but Honorable Johnson. We have the we've been blessed with the opportunity over the last couple of summers to vacation in Martha's Vineyard.
Yes.
And it's been an experience to be able to share that experience with you and your family and your crew. Well, with your crew, not so much your family.
Yes, sir.
It's been fun. It's always good to see our people in the best light, being able to have fun, network, share ideas, build. Coming from that experience, you supported my book.
Absolutely.
You supported fundraising. You going back next summer?
Yes, sir. I've already have my plans set up already. You know how it is. You have to have those plans done almost a year in advance.
Right.
But yes, sir, we all housed up, if you say that's a word,
that's cool.
to stay in Martha's Vineyard. Yes, it's a wonderful time. You know, the minister says it best. You know, our unity is like an atomic bomb. You know, if we unify, and unity can be on a beautiful level of intelligence, but also fun.
Absolutely.
And clean, healthy fun, and that's what Martha's Vineyard really provides for us, a time to network and have fun, but still build and unify as a family.
Right. Honorable Johnson, you were one of our very first guests on our very first show.
Yes, sir. I remember that.
116 episodes ago.
Wow. Amazing.
Right?
Yes,
and
sir.
you're back again, and it's been such a blessing to have you back.
Yes, sir.
To share the update, because you were just getting into the role.
Yes, sir.
When you first came on the show, and just seeing how you've blossomed into the beautiful person that you are.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling
you.
It's just
service,
wonderful.
you know, brother, it's, I'm now at a point where I'm going to be trying to elevate into some of the higher judgeships. And certainly my background, Mount Vernon is in the trenches. We struggle with a lot of things that are happening. Every now and again, we have a little bit of that gang violence that happens, but you know, we are really as a community trying to get a handle on everything. And I think at this time, I'm trying to move up to not so much lead the community that I love so much, but just to elevate to a higher judgeship where I can even make a change on that level.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
people from there will go up county.
Nice.
You know, for instance, we don't do felonies. You know, the felonies go up county.
Right.
We may arraign them and have some hearings, but if it stayed a felony, it goes up county.
Okay.
So, you know, justice is needed everywhere. So, inshallah, we say, and that means Allah willing, I will be able to elevate maybe to a higher judgeship. But if that's not the case, Mount Vernon can certainly use me, and I'll stay right in my community where my children were born and raised, and my husband's born and raised in Mount Vernon. I love it.
And
you know?
they are blessed to have you. Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Hosea, and I love you very much, you
Love
and your
too.
family.
Love you too,
Thank
sister.
you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform. I was your host, Hosea James Givan II, and remember, if it's in your heart, do your part. Today's help equals tomorrow's hope. I love our youth. Power to the people.